Hello, guys. This is Aram Media.
This is Force Fiction.
Welcome to our very first podcast on WandaVision full season breakdown. We hope all of you have already watched the season and all the episodes because we are going to dig deeper into many things, I suppose. And I hope this is not going to throw away too many spoilers for people who didn't watch it yet. Okay, let's actually give a short outlook on how this is gonna work. We are going to discuss a couple of questions which could literally cover almost all the topics from WandaVision. And you could find the link for first part above and also in the description. So let's continue. Wait, who's gonna ask the first question?
You can go ahead this time.
Okay, so does Monica has her power now, or along with the hex, did she lose it? What do you think?
Well, I personally think that, see, Monica was originally given the name of Captain Marvel by the media, and not long afterwards, she visited New York, hoping to get help in controlling her powers. There, she caught the attention of the young Peter Parker, whose spider sense led him to believe she posed a threat. She was followed by Spider Man during her search for help, and after clearing up the misunderstanding, she was finally assisted by Tony Stark. So now it seems to be like, like I've been reading a script. Yeah, of course, yes. It was the exact words that was written from the comic version of it. So Monica was basically referred to as Captain Marvel. And in this interpretation of Monica Rambeau is she's very different. And by looking at the way how her powers has evolved, I think by the virtue of thoughts, she being dominantly also powerful, just like the other characters which we saw, like Wanda Maximoff. I think she's not going to lose any powers. It seems like she is in the outfit of her, the traditional outfit as she mentioned in the as it was mentioned in the comics. Because she was wearing that, that glossy white, the suit which she was wearing. And now, look, I don't want to say, but she was actually recruited by Black Panther in the comics to protect people from vampires in New Orleans. You can see me where I'm taking this to. Yeah, already. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was kind of shocked to read that. Like, man, I had no clue of that. Vampire Diaries from New Orleans is also involved in these Marvel comics adaptation. But anyway, guys, it's going to be kind of interesting. I'm not saying that the Vampire Diaries characters are there in this comics, but it's kind of that concept is there already in Marvel MCU universe, and we'll give them the link down in the description so that they could directly click that
Mhm.
link and they could read that comic strip from there. And yeah, that's my call on Monica Rambeau from the whole season. Though for me personally, she wasn't that of an interesting character. It still could have been better. The build up of that certain hero could have been better. But yeah, that's what I personally believe.
Okay, so let me get this straight. From the very first sentence, whatever
Mm,
you said, it was
mhm.
actually mind blowing because this kind of information I didn't have it.
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
not
yeah,
know this. I did not know that Monica actually had the powers before this.
yeah, yeah.
And I think she could lead to a new super hero or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because the way that the MC universe, I mean, especially in the Phase 5 and let's say in the Captain Marvel movie, the way that Monica Rainbow was introduced, certainly was very different from the comics. The way that she has been introduced, I mean, the way that the comics has explained about her powers and the way that
Mhm.
how they have shown her, it's very different. But then Black Panther basically asked her to protect the New Orleans city from vampires. I mean, like, come on, man. Like, we saw that same concept of vampires in the Vampire Diaries. So I don't know
Mhm.
whether, I mean, we should basically dig deeper into it, and probably it's like a hot topic which we could discuss in some other video. Yeah, of course. Yeah, and what's your call on this? Like, do you really think that Monica Rambeau is going to play a bigger role in the coming series, or let's say in coming movies? What do you think?
I think yes. Actually, we could see her in the next upcoming movies.
Hmm.
she could be there. And since you mentioned that she's already having the power, then definitely she will play a important role.
Yeah. So let me just hit you up with some other question. Like this kind of a question which everyone will be having it is that do you really think that Wanda draws powers from Dormammu, as in those fight scenes which we saw her fighting with Agatha Harkness, and she was basically surviving for centuries, or let's say decades, by drawing powers from Dormammu, that the violet color magical powers that she was doing it. And even the Sorcerer Supreme, the ancient one, which we saw in Doctor Strange, she survived for decades and centuries because she was basically drawing power from Dormammu, the dark side. So do you think that the powers of when Wanda drew her powers, the Agatha's powers, do you really think that that's going to influence Agatha and this or the other way, or what do you think?
Well, before getting into the topic, let me correct you where the power is actually coming from.
Hmm.
It's not exactly from Dormammu, it's actually from the dark dimension.
Dark
And
dimension, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Dormammu is just casted away into this dark dimension so that he
yeah.
won't overtake the earth, right? Or whatever
Oh,
dimensions
yeah,
are
yeah,
there.
yeah, 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 yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I think let's, before understanding Wanda's power, the source of power, let's understand what Agatha's power is. So it's definitely dark magic because when she practiced this magic and it is beyond her age and station,
Mm.
so the witches in Salem, they
Mm.
apparently confronted her to destroy her, right?
Mm.
Because she's becoming a more powerful witch
Yeah, a more
with
dangerous one, yeah.
more dangerous one.
Mm.
Exactly. So we could come up with a theory that Agatha's flashback, since it dates back to 1693, I guess,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
she looks just the same after all those years.
yeah,
It's exactly the same theory as how Ancient One is also looking exactly the same, even after a lot of years,
yeah.
because she drew the power from Dark Dimension, and I
Mm.
think it's similar to that where Agatha also draws the power from.
Yeah.
So, well, for now, the idea is that Agatha's power, the source where it is from, it is actually unknown.
Mm.
But other than Dormammu, there are a lot of other demonic characters in MCU. So
Mm.
she could get power from any one of them, or not
Yeah,
even one of them. It could be just from the dimension.
yeah, it's
So
true.
I wouldn't say if Wanda is going to possess this dark magic. Well, it's actually just a theory, and I really don't think she's actually going to possess this dark magic because she's just a Scarlet Witch, and it was just Agatha's method that she was drawing the power from Dark Dimension. She just
Mm.
merely absorbed the power from Agatha, just like any other witch.
Mm.
And
I mean, the thing, what that in Agatha, like the fight scene which we saw, yeah. I mean, in the fight scene when they both were like head to head each other, and then all of a sudden, when Agatha wants to use her powers against the Scarlet Witch, she just didn't have any powers at all, and then she literally had to, you know, make her land safely because she didn't have enough powers to even stay there. Yeah. So I really thought that her powers were actually taken off, or let's say getting absorbed by Wanda Maximoff, because from my point of view, what I thought was Agatha wants. I mean, yeah, of course, she said that in the scenes where she wants Wanda Maximoff's powers. I mean, Scarlet Witch's powers, and she was trying to basically convince her, saying that it's kind of a curse. But at the end, it just kind of backfired. So yeah, yeah.
well, I doubt if she is going to lose her powers. She did
Mm.
not lose her powers because there was this scene where Scarlet Witch was inside the ruins where Agatha cast the spells inside this dungeon, or
Oh yeah,
what you
yeah,
call it,
yeah.
right?
So maybe within the spells, she might still have the powers. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it was just because Wanda casted the spell, she couldn't
Mm.
use her powers against her. She just merely
Oh,
absorbed
okay.
the powers that she had, and this was just a temporary thing.
Yeah, yeah. Because I guess I mean, yeah, Agatha is a witch and she should be having her powers. Yeah, that's true.
So
Mm.
she could come back. Yeah. So there's
Mm.
yet a lot to come. We will
Mm.
wait and find out.
Yeah.
So since we are in this topic, let's. I will just hit you up with another question,
Mm. Mm.
which is exact same as Monica's question actually.
Mm,
We see that post-credit scene with Skrull
mm,
contacting Monica, right? How does
mm.
it connect to the new Captain Marvel movie?
See, the thing is, we are yet to explore more of Monica Rambeau as a character, and also the way she has been built up in the Marvel universe. She's going to play a good role in Captain Marvel 2 movie also. I guess all the movies revolved around, you know, villain like Thanos or someone else whom I really hope to see. I really wish that Thanos would be playing a much more bigger role in the coming up movies, because he's one of the coolest and one of the bold villains that I've ever seen, especially in the Phase 5. And we were promised that we'll be seeing more of Thanos in the Eternals. Looking into that, Phase 5 should be revolving around some of the important characters. Like it happened, we didn't expect Bucky Barnes to play a huge role in the previous phases. Like the Winter Soldier was based on him. The Civil War was also based on him. Only in the last phase, no, by the last stage of the Phase 4, they kind of moved on with Bucky Barnes, and again they are still having the Winter Soldier and the Falcon series also coming up based on that character. So they want such, roles to be played over and over again in the episodes, or let's say in the coming phases. So uh, see, if you ask me honestly, I really got no clue like what's going to happen once she goes. The only thing which we saw is that they both are like simply looking up to the sky, and what I think is that they might have some sort of base or something like that, like what we saw in Captain
Yes,
Marvel
actually,
movie. Yeah,
the Skrull were actually having a base on the sky, like
yeah,
in the
exactly.
space. Maybe they
Yeah,
would go there.
yeah, maybe they would go there, and maybe they require something, or maybe they are in trouble and they just need her to save the Skrull community, I suppose. Something or the other which is going to happen, and I really feel like there would be a position, or let's say a point of time, where Captain Marvel further will need assistance with something.
Hmm.
When people are in danger or something like that, and then Monica Rambeau is going to come into play, and they both are going to have some chemistry, some scenes, and they're really going to show up the old, the previous childhood scenes where
Yes.
between the way that I still remember the scene from Captain Marvel where they both were like sitting together, and then she was looking up to the sky, saying something about
Yes.
stars and this and that stuff. So I really feel like we're going to see more chemistry between Monica Rambeau and Captain Marvel herself. Or probably, along the way, maybe Bray Larson's Captain Marvel is simply going to die, or maybe, Monica Rambeau is going to be named as the new Captain Marvel, just like what happened with Captain America. Yes. So, um, yeah, Steve Rogers basically retired, as Captain America, and then we are yet to see whether the U.S. agent or the Falcon himself is going to take over the role of um, the Captain America. So it's kind of complicated, but let's keeping aside all of our theories, I still believe that they do have some strong storylines between that. But I really personally think that Kevin Feige really needs to focus on Captain Marvel's storyline. Compared to the other storylines, I don't think fans were that fantasized about the storyline of Captain Marvel, and it was kind of disappointing the way that how the movie took over.
Yes.
And I'm not really sure that people are very impressed with the first installment. So yeah. But what do you think about it?
I actually personally think that the Monica Rambeau's character in
Yeah.
Captain Marvel 2 movie is actually confirmed. So
Mhm.
that means that we are definitely going to see her.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
the thing is that I was just wondering how it is actually connected with the Skrull showing up in the credit scene and pointing towards the
Mhm.
sky. So maybe this is actually the starting scene of this Captain Marvel 2 movie.
Yeah.
This could actually lead out to something.
Yeah,
Well, we
maybe they will be like meeting each other, after a long time or something like that. And yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true. Let me just hit you up with another question, which I really wanted to ask you.
sure.
When we both saw Pietro was introduced once again,
Mhm.
um, but this time it was the X-Men version that was introduced.
Yes.
Do you really think that at some point along the journey we might get to see the crossover of X-Men and Avengers? Because people were fantasizing about the fan theories where we'll get to see at least somewhere along the way that there will be a fight between, or let's say a face off between uh, the Hulk and Wolverine, because I mean that's what that basically happens even in the
Mhm.
comics. A lot of versions where there the scenes between Hulk and Wolverine. We really want such things to happen. So do you really think that showing off with Pietro from X-Men in the WandaVision series is kind of like a breakthrough, or let's say giving themselves an opportunity to, or let's say giving themselves an opportunity to open a window of for the X-Men characters to get into the MCU universe. What do you think about that?
Okay. So basically, this question actually relates to something that happened in the 90s,
Hmm.
where Marvel actually sold some of the rights for some of the characters to different studios, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It starts with Sony. They
Mm.
got the rights to Spider-Man,
Spider-Man, yeah, yeah. We
and
all know what
Fox.
happened with Amazing Spider-Man, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Well, and then the Fox actually got the rights to X-Men and some other Marvel villains.
Mm.
So recently you could see that Sony gave the rights back to Marvel again, and Marvel was able to give us new set of movies
Mm.
with Tom Holland,
Yeah, yeah.
and this is how it turned out to be. And they actually decided that the characters couldn't appear together on screen when
Mm.
they are actually having the rights.
Yeah.
So Fox and Marvel never decided to actually mix up the characters in one screen
Yeah.
when it comes to X-Men and Marvel characters.
Mm.
So this was off the plate when this was happening there in 90s. And
Mm.
then recently, the Marvel parent company, I guess, they actually bought the Fox.
Mm.
So in this way, now the characters actually could appear again together on the same screen, where
Mm.
they can actually add all the X-Men characters into the MCU,
Mm.
and all the theories could come true. Well,
Yeah.
we know that the actual Quicksilver was played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, and the
Yeah.
X-Men version was played by Ivan Peters.
Yeah.
So we saw the introduction of the Quicksilver from X-Men recently in this episode, which actually leads the answers to a lot of questions we had.
Mm.
And there could be like two theories where the Pietro characters is created as a cast just
Mm.
to the Wanda's sitcom. Because,
Mm.
in Wanda's sitcom, it's like all the characters are there for a reason
Yeah, yeah.
inside the sitcom.
True.
So
Mm.
this Pietro character should be just one of the characters just playing the role in the sitcom.
Mm.
Or maybe there could be another theory where Pietro is indeed the Fox version and acknowledges that the X-Men characters actually exist in a parallel reality.
Yeah,
And
yeah, and we are already going to have Doctor Strange 2 multiverse of madness, and I still believe that that the characters like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and the Amazing Spider-Man, everyone would be coming together. Even they were even talking about the Daredevil and the other characters also could show up in Doctor Strange 2, or at least at the end credit scene of Spider-Man 3. I'm not talking about the
mhm,
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, but yeah, I mean the new
you're
version of
right.
Spider-Man.
Yep.
Yeah,
We
I
will
just believe that. Hmm.
definitely, that's going to be exciting since we are going to see all the Spider-Mans in one screen, just like the Spider-Verse, I
Yeah.
would say. So I believe that MCU is actually starting to lay down the foundation for multiverse right now, so that they
Hmm.
can actually, like, how do you say, they can introduce all the X-Men characters that actually exist
Yeah.
into the MCU universe, and in that way, it's actually going to turn out to be a big universe with all the X-Men X-Men characters?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, I guess that answers the question, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, definitely answers the question. Yeah.
it was really interesting to go through all these questions right now, and I hope that this actually answers a lot of questions that were there in the mind
Mm.
of the fans.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
well,
mean, yet, we can, you guys can always, look into the questions below down in the downs comment section, and you could always drop down some comments, and you could look in the description with all the comic links. You could just click on it, and you could discuss with yourselves and share your thoughts. Yep.
definitely, anytime, any comments, we will definitely be happy to answer them. So, well, now let's wind up this podcast,
Yep.
and we'll see each other maybe next week with a really interesting topic.
Yep. See you guys next week. Thank you so much for having me, our media. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much for Fiction. I'm really glad to have you.